Get ready for the show, it's about to begin. Pro fan talk when we dive right in. Sports talk, hot takes, ain't nothing we lack. We the real fans, nothing holding us back. Mic check, 1, 2, y'all know the drill. We bringing the energy, we keep it real. Touchdowns on liquid air, on the slam dunks on the court. Every sport, every game, we holding down the fort. We breaking down the plays, dissecting the stats. Pro fan talk, we keeping it fat. We bringing with passion, no filter, no doubt. We the voice of the fans, we scream and we shout.
What's good? What's good? What's good? Happy Super Bowl Tuesday to you. One day closer to the Super Bowl. Our Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, we're about to get it on and popping down in New Orleans. Looking for just some time to talk. I got a special guest with me tonight. I see everybody in the chat already. I see my mom's in the chat. I appreciate you, moms. KGK0911, you were the first out the limo, man. I appreciate you. Clouds VR, my mom's, Chris, as usual. Pat Ryan, what's going on? K Chanel is in the building. Appreciate you. Carl Calvert, appreciate you. We'll get into some Super Bowl situations, Carl. So hold that thought, man. But I want to bring my guest in right away. This is one of my best friends from high school. We played together or against each other, rather, in the World League. We won a state title in high school. We are one of 3 from our class to make it to the NFL. Myself, Ron Carpenter, and Mr. Alan DeGraffin Reed. But today, I have Ron Carpenter, who was a member of, what was that, Super Bowl 34? The greatest show on turf, Los Angeles Rams, when they won it that year with Dick Vermeil. He was a member of that team, and he is here tonight. And it is apropos as we are going to talk Super Bowl. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my big homie, my frat, Ron Carpenter. What's going on, homie?
What's going on, brother? 06, how you feeling?
06 in the building.
Yes,
Feeling
sir.
good, man. Feeling good, man. Got to get ready for this Super Bowl. I figured it was no better person to talk to than somebody who was actually been in that mix and been in that hoopla and that craziness and that circus.
Yes, sir.
Getting ready for the Super Bowl, man. So what's been up, man? How you been?
Been doing well, man. Just coaching my sons, doing the family thing. You know, I got the 14-year-old and the 10-year-old twins, and they're all playing football. So I'm a coach on their teams, and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that'll work, man. That'll work. You said 16 or 14?
14. Yeah, he's an 8th grader wide receiver. Look out for Hayden Carpenter coming to your TV set soon. And then Aubrey and Dawson Carpenter, one's a quarterback and one's a running back. Okay. 4 years after that, look for them.
Gonna be some NIL money coming through.
Come on with it. Let's get it.
You already know, man. For all of y'all that don't know, Ron played for the Bengals. He played for the Vikings. He played for the Jets. And then, of course, he won the Super Bowl with the Rams. Played at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Also played in the XFL. We played against each other in the World League. He played in the Arena League. I mean, how many other leagues? You played for the Georgia Force. I think that was Arena, right?
Yeah, Georgia Force, Detroit Fury, Nashville Cats, New York City Hawks. So
yeah, man,
after the NFL career, I didn't want to stop playing at the age of 30. So I visited all those leagues. Only place I didn't play was Canada.
Was where?
Canada. The Canadian Football League is the only
yeah. Speaking of which, man, I got to get Milk back on here, man.
Yes, sir. Magic Milk.
Got to get the homie back on here, man. But yeah, man, you've been everywhere, been around the world, bro, playing that ball, man.
Yes, sir. Enjoyed every bit.
I still remember I was watching one of your games, man, and you returned. It was Arena. You returned the kickoff, and you said, "Don't kick the ball deep to me. It's bad for business."
Yes, sir.
I meant to look for that clip, man, but I forgot about it, man. But I always remember that clip, bro.
Yeah, it was fun, man. The Arena League was, I did my time, got my ring, So now I was just playing to get it all out of my system, and I had a blast. I wasn't concerned about how much money we were making and all that.
Yeah.
Just had fun. So I was feeling myself on that one when I told him it was gonna be.
Man, you know what? I told the story a couple of weeks ago on this podcast, and I also told it on that Tartan Touchdown. That's the one, the guys I was telling you about in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, we got into the subject of when I walked away from the game, but I always tell a story when I was talking to you and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. You was like, dude, just fill out the application for the XFL. They paying good money. Just fill out the application, fax it in, and we see what's going to happen. And I remember when I got off the phone with you, I filled out that application, and I was sitting in the parking lot of a Barnes and Noble, for about an hour trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So but yeah, man, always touching base, man. All the things. That first year in the World League, we were hot garbage. Whole situation with Doug Williams. You know, just going through all of that, but even to the point where, like, even now, when I see Charles Davis commentating, I'm like, that dude started in the World League. He was over there. So,
It's some great memories, man. You think about all the good times we had. First year of that league, 95, and I'm in Amsterdam, you're in Scotland. We meet up on the field, homies for life. You know, two cats out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Princeton High School, meeting up on the field in Scotland. In Scotland, and going at it. So had a blast, man. Lifelong memories.
For sure, man. Couldn't tell us nothing. Couldn't tell us a damn thing.
No doubt.
But I know we had talked. I think I texted you earlier this year because I asked you if you were going out to LA when they had the celebration for that Super Bowl. What happened with that?
I didn't go. I had some things going on with the family here at the house that we needed to take care of. I wanted to go. I thought about going. I was actually going to take the family out there with me, but a couple things came up, and you know, that was great. But life is life, and we had some things we had to take care of, so we ended up not going. It was actually the main reason I couldn't go is because my three boys each had a game, and I'm a coach. I'm a coach on all three teams. So my 8th grade son had a game that week. The 10-year-old twins, they didn't play for the same team. One played for an elite team,
right?
They had tryouts and all that, and the other one played for a red team. All three boys had games Friday and Saturday, so just couldn't make it out. I'm a coach. It would be, if I wasn't a coach, but I'm a coach on all three teams, so I couldn't make it.
Yeah, man, we don't miss games, bro.
No, sir.
We don't miss games. I still remember when I was coaching Little League, it was my birthday. And Kathy was like, we're going to have dinner, so you might have to miss this game. And I mean, I raised holy hell. I did not want to miss that game. Turns out she had like a surprise party for me. And I ain't going to lie, I was still mad. I was like, I did not want to miss a game because that's just the mode that you get in.
No doubt.
Like, you ain't missing the game for nothing.
No doubt. No doubt.
Nothing, man. So, but let's recap a little bit, seeing as though it's Super Bowl week. What do you remember, you know, from like Radio Row and all of that circus that is the media week leading up to the game? Obviously, it was probably different back then, but you know, it was still a zoo. So, like, what do you remember?
Lots of TV stations, radio stations, interviews, sitting in the stands until it was your turn to come down to talk to somebody in the media, and then Stuart Scott walking around the sidelines. You know, Stuart Scott in his heyday, walking around the sidelines, interviewing different people. Somebody gave me a camera and a microphone and said, interview a couple of your friends. So so a couple of teammates. So we started interviewing each other, clowning, acting the fool, just having a good time, man. A lot of us had our, you know, back then camcorders were big for us. So a lot of us had our camcorders. We were playing makeshift reporter, just having fun, man. And it was, media day was a good break in the action because, you know, we practiced for a couple of days. And then we had to cut practice early that day to go to media day. So, you know, the fanfare gives you an opportunity to sit back, you know, take a breather, realize what you're about to get involved in. And then right after that, you back to meetings and right back at it. So, so it was a much needed break, though.
When you saw Stuart Scott, did you get a chance to dap him up? He frat.
I talked to him. I forgot that he was frat. So we didn't even talk about that. We talked about Jackson. What's the commentator's name that went to Princeton after us?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his
last name Jackson. I can't remember his name. So we talked about
Stuart
him.
Jackson?
It wasn't Stuart. I got him on my Facebook fan page. I can't remember his first name, but we talked about him for a minute. Told him I was from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I forgot that he was frat. So
yeah. But how crazy was it? Or well, I know because me and you have had conversations, and you used to tell me how Dick Vermeil was. Yeah. But how different was it? I guess back then, because social media didn't exist.
Right.
Being able to turn off all the noise and then focus on what you had to do, because these jokers now they got to deal with so many distractions and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't know how much of the coverage you've seen. I haven't watched a lot of it myself, but I saw Jameis Winston asking questions and throwing cookies and all this kind of nonsense. Like, what the hell are they doing, man? And everybody didn't have access like they do now, because all you need is a phone in the quiet corner. Right. And you can do what you got to do, man. So there's a lot of stuff that we didn't have to deal with. Yeah. But how hard was it to once you got out of that stuff and then focus on practice and watching film and all that kind of stuff?
Well, back then, back in the olden times, like to say, all we had to worry about was our cell phones, and not really. I mean, I had just gotten a cell phone, to be honest with you. So turn that bad boy off and get to meetings and get to practice. There was no social media to worry about. There were no live streams and stuff like that. So literally, after media day, I didn't look at my phone again or my pager, because I think I might even still had a pager at that time. Yeah. I didn't look at it again until later on in the evenings, when, you know, after dinner, after meetings, right before bedtime, you know, calling the wife, talking to the little one. My oldest son was 5 at the time, talking to him on the phone. Yeah, he just turned 30. He just turned 30 in December.
Man, that's crazy.
He was 5 at the time. So
that's crazy. I still got that picture. I saw it the other day when I was holding Cam in the kitchen.
Yeah. I look at it all the time. No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. But it was easy to unplug because there wasn't nothing to plug into.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So families didn't have as much access to us, so we could really lock in and focus in on what we were doing. And Coach Vermeil, I give it to him. I give hats off to him all the time. He did a great job of getting us to lock in and motivated us on something, whatever it was. It could have been a stat, you know, how many times the opposing team scored in the regular season when they hit the red zone, in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter what it was. He always found something to get us locked in and get us focused. So, and then we had a special teams coordinator, Frank Gans, God rest his soul. He was big with Navy SEAL type things. He would always show us videos the night before or the week of Navy SEAL training, and performing at the highest level was one of his greatest signs. And he compared us, not literally, because there's no way we could compare to the Navy SEALs, but our mentality and our approach, he compared it to the Navy SEALs. And each one of our special teams had a military name. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't matter what it was. We were always locked in. So, you know, they did a great job of getting us ready. They used to bring in, when we were in Philly, we went to Philly to play. They brought in Joe Frazier. And Joe Frazier talked to us the night before the game. You know what I mean? So they would do stuff like that, bring people in to talk to us. So we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to see who was next. Yeah. And then we line up on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night.
Vermeil do a lot of people, man.
So yeah, we was always fired up.
Man, that's what's up, man. I would imagine I would think that the one thing that is probably still consistent today, as it was back then, was probably somebody in the hotel had brought their Sega Genesis or something, hooked up
Oh, yeah.
to the TV playing games.
Oh, yeah.
Was still doing that. Of course, now they playing, Call of Duty or
Yeah.
Fortnite or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. It was either
2K,
some type of video game, console, or
playing poker,
or gambling.
gambling. Yep, there you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. So some things don't change, but
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, is Ray Didinger, who's one of a Hall of Fame reporter from out here. He tells the story, and this kind of goes back into how Vermeil was. He was telling the story of how him and Vermeil got into it because the Eagles weren't getting it done at that point, and so people were writing some kind of nasty stuff about it, and he confronted them. So apparently it was a big blow up, like, come into my office and we gonna hash this out.
Right.
And said they went at it. And
I believe it.
And it came down to Ray Didinger was like, listen, I'm gonna be honest. And you can't get mad at me for that. But y'all gotta be better. And he tells the story of how they kind of both came away with it, understanding the other side a little bit better. And I kind of look at that as when you see all of these goofballs on Media Row, you got these people trying to ask stupid questions, showing, I think it was, I saw somebody had like a cookie cake it was for Travis Kelce, but it just said number 87, Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Like stupid stuff like that, man. I saw the thing where they asked, somebody asked Jalen Hurts if they could give him the reporter was saying, can you give me some help? How do I be a handsome quarterback?
Right.
And he was like, that's a DNA problem, man. I can't help you with that.
Right.
So all of the nonsense and the BS that these dudes got to deal with, man. And it's just so easy to just get yourself distraction and get yourself in trouble. Down there, man. And it's crazy, man. So the amount of focus that these coaches got to go through to keep these dudes locked in for that week when it's like 24/7. It's something going on and somebody, trying to get at you, man. So
this younger generation, they're kind of addicted to those phones because that's where they get their media, their news, and all that. So you kind of got to put it down. You got to be able to walk away from it and not listen to the outside noise. If you're gonna do it any week, do it this week. You can get back on the noise box after the Super Bowl week is over. But it could be a once in a lifetime thing. Getting to that big dance. So hopefully they're smart enough to unplug.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni seems to have a good beat on that, man. But I remember talking with Barrett Brooks about we were talking about the situation, and I'm going back, the situation that happened with Antonio Brown when he was with Pittsburgh. He had the phone. And I'm thinking, I was like, man, we would never, that wouldn't even enter our consciousness to do something stupid like that, because we still have respect for the coaches and all of that type. It was just different, man. It was different. And the one thing that still kind of remains the same is everybody has somebody on another team that you was cool with. So you would still dap each other up, and it was more like, for us, it was like, we'll hook up, come scoop me up at the hotel, and then you taking us wherever. This is y'all town. But now you got exchanging jerseys and all of that. We did all of that stuff, but we did it off the field. Because
it wasn't nobody else's business. We wasn't trying to put on the show for everybody to see. So I feel you.
Yeah, we talk about that. Seth Jordan talks about that, about us, not being friends on the field. We was all boys off the field, but you wasn't exchanging jerseys. Like, just listen, man, I got your number. I'm gonna send it to you. Or something like that, man. It was just
if they knew during that time how me and you and Alan DeGraff went against each other when you was in Scotland, when I was in Amsterdam. I was trying to destroy Alan.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Alan came out and tried to cut block me like 5 times in a row. And I didn't know Alan since we was about 11, 12 years old. So it's no friends doing in between the lines.
Nah, man, it's all business. All business.
Yeah.
All business. So I always joke. I said I still got my World Bowl ring, and And I remember coming over to the house and you brought out the trophy on me like, that hurt. That hurt.
Hey, true. But don't get me wrong. When we lost that NFL Europe championship, that hurt. That hurt big time. I wanted that ring bad. So
yeah, a chip is a chip, bro.
No
a
doubt.
Chip is a chip. And just so y'all know, you will hear us reference Princeton High School out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and put your hand over your heart every time you hear me say it, because that is the greatest high school in this country. And we were ranked at one point 12th in the country. We lost, came back, won our state title, and USA Today put us back as what, 25th in the country or something like that?
Something like
at the
that.
end of the year.
Yeah.
So we were some bad boys.
All day, every day.
We were so bad boys. Even because it's funny. I did a video. I didn't even get a chance to post it. I just did a video about the Indiana Fever signing. Who did it just sign? Sidney Colson. They just signed Sidney Colson. They just signed Natasha Howard. But my point was, I was like, I made it with the attitude like, can y'all stop? I'm an hour away from doing the stream on the Super Bowl, but every time I try to do something, here come the Indiana Fever with more breaking news, like just time out. And the reason I bring that up is because if you follow me on my channel, y'all know my love for Kelsey Mitchell, and the reason why I love Kelsey Mitchell because her dad was the big homie Mark Mitchell, and he was frat, and we all hung together, and we was cool like that, man. So I bring Big Mark, rest in peace. I bring him up quite often.
No doubt.
So
that was a tough loss for all of us.
Big time, man. Big time. But yeah, man, I just want to go back over like in the locker room before the game. I'm trying to remember. What year was that?
It was the 99 season, but of course the Super Bowl happened in 2000, January of 2000. But it was the 99 season.
I'm trying to remember, was that before or after Living Color? Did y'all have the long halftime?
We had the long halftime. I can't remember if it was before or after Living Color, but we had a long halftime, yes.
Okay. So it was somebody was performing.
Yes.
At halftime.
Yeah.
So what is because the halftime was what, a half an hour? Something like that?
Something like that. Something ridiculous. Too long.
Yeah, way too long. So like what did y'all do at halftime?
Made some adjustments because for those who don't remember the game, offensively we went up and down the field, but we couldn't punch it in the red zone for the number of times that we had gotten to the red zone. So we were frustrated. So we had to make some adjustments on offense. We were doing a pretty good job on defense because we had shut them down, and Steve McNair hadn't gotten loose yet.
Right.
So defensively, we were in there saying, "Hey, we got to continue to do what we're doing right now. Be aware of this, that, and the other." And then offensively, they were like, "Look, we got to punch this thing in. The defense is doing a great job. We can't keep coming away without touchdown." So we did that initially, and then after that, just hydration and staying loose. Because the longer you sit down, I got to warm up all over again, and it was a longer halftime. So we didn't like that. It felt like it was taking too long, and we were kind of eager to get back out on the field and prove that, quote unquote, we were the greatest show on turf. So we were disappointed and frustrated with ourselves for not punching it in as many times as we went up and down the field.
Man, and I don't think people appreciate how much effort it takes, especially when you got things going. People undersell momentum. Yeah. And when you go in the locker room, you basically pull an emergency brake for an extended period of time because you're ready to get in, get out, and get it moving again. And when you got to sit that extra time, I would imagine now they probably got the bikes and treadmills and all kind of crap to keep you warm and keep you moving and all that kind of stuff, man. But to pull an emergency brake like that, and you just got to sit and you got to wait, that's got to suck.
Yeah, a regular halftime is long enough, but extended halftime because of the Super Bowl, that's like
regular was what, 10 minutes?
Say that again.
Regular was what, 10 minutes?
About 15.
15?
About 15, probably no more than 20, but 15. Yeah. It wasn't that long.
Yeah, and then like what happened to us in 22, the first time we lost to Kansas City, when they jacked up the field at halftime for the concert.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were slipping and sliding anyways, and that didn't help. So,
Yeah.
but at least we on turf now, so we got a little bit better footing, man. So, the one thing that I find funny, we was talking about this before we started, man. I've been on some Kansas City podcasts. My boy Jason Dunn, he's one of my teammates at Eastern Kentucky. And I was on his podcast the other day, and I just find it funny. I'm listening to everything that he says for Kansas City fans.
Right.
Philadelphia fans saying the same stuff.
Right.
We said that this is what we got to do to win. We got certain players that they can't stop. We can do this. They're not as good as, and it's like at the end of the day, we both saying the same thing. We both like our matchups. We both think we're the better team. But at the end of the day, you know, Sunday afternoon, we're going to step on the field and see what's what.
That's right.
You know, it's all well and good till you get punched in the mouth. So I always find it funny when you hear and people start falling into that trap of what they hear on sports talk radio and stuff like that. I'm lucky enough. I've gotten the last 2 years or so, I've really got back into watching film because now we got the NFL Pro. I can see the all 22, all of that type of stuff. So I can really look at it and be like, we got some issues.
Right.
You know, and as former players, we looking at stuff like, yeah, it ain't nowhere close to what y'all think is like on the radio. Like,
no, not at all. Not at all. It's interesting you say that because, you know, everybody's got their opinion. You're going to hear a lot of people say a lot of different stuff. But the winner of this game and the loser of this game is going to be based on a couple things. Who's winning up front? Because offense and defense, how good your offense is and how good your defense is, depends on how good you are up front. So if you want to get an early indication of what's going on, who's winning up front? O-line, D-line. And then turnovers. That's going to determine this game, and it determines the majority of all the games that happen in the NFL. So you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of different stuff. It ain't, you know, statistically this, that, and the other. Who's winning up front and who's winning the turnover battle. And that's going to give you a good indication of who's going to win that game.
Facts.
Yep.
And all y'all on my stream, what do I say? What do I say? Win the line of scrimmage, don't turn the ball over.
That's it.
Win the line of scrimmage, don't turn the ball over. Those are the two keys. They never change.
It's age old, and it ain't gonna change,
man.
So
I do a pregame show with one of my boys named Tone DeShields, Chalk It Up Sports. Check him out. And he always laughs at me because at the end of our show, we always go over what's your keys to the game? What's your keys to victory this week? It don't change. It don't change. And I always make it a point to say, as a running back, as an offensive player, win the line of scrimmage, don't turn the ball over. Defense wins championships. Point period, end of paragraph. Now, it helps to have somebody like Saquon Barkley running for 2K, you know, but defense wins championships. They can't win if they can't score.
What do they say? Offense sells the tickets, but defense wins championships all day.
There you go. And right now, here's where I can put my bias in there and say, right now, we got the nastiest defensive player in the league, in my opinion. Yes, you got Chris Jones, but we ain't seen somebody yet be able to stop Jalen Carter.
Right.
So, and then you got Milt Williams on the other side, and then you got Nolan Smith that came on the scene, and then you got Zach Bond. Zach Bond should be in the top 2 for Defensive Player of the Year. They're probably not going to give it to him because his name is not big enough, which is bullshit. But, you know, if you balling, you balling. But they still, you know, the NFL still gets tapped into they want a certain player with a certain, you know, level of appeal and to be well known. And it's like, listen, if somebody's balling, stats don't lie. The tape don't lie.
That's right.
So that's what they should go to it. But you already know it's always politics and stuff like that involved. But it is what it is. But he's been balling, and I expect him to keep balling this weekend in this game because this is what it's all about, bro.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I look for I know there's a lot of Kansas City fans and Mahomes fans and Kelsey fans and all that, but if the Philadelphia Eagles show up and do what they've been doing, feed the beast, Saquon. Hurts does his thing. that receiver core y'all got, and then the defense play should be a victory. So obviously, you didn't know, you can tell I got Philly.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, let me ask you this. Now, this is a strategic question because everybody is just assuming that Spags is going to figure out how to put 8 men in the box. And my thing was, I saw something on Twitter a couple days ago, and somebody posted a video, and they were talking about all of these different looks, stunts, hidden coverages. They like to play cover 2, and then they bring a safety up. And I'm like, well, if you bring a safety up, well, now you single high. Yeah. And that's, he was all of this stuff. And Spags is great at that. But I'm like, all it takes is for them to bring up a safety, trying to hide a coverage, and Saquon goes deep. So the only person he got to get to in the second level is that safety by himself. You got him one-on-one. All it takes is one time, and all that stuff gets blown out the water.
Yeah. They're gonna have their wish list of what they want to do.
Facts.
But when they get hit in the mouth, it's gonna be what they have to do to not get hit over the top again. So over the top, or giving up gashing 60, 50-yard run. So
right.
They'll have. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be back and forth. But in order to stop the run, you're not gonna be able to stand too high. You're not gonna be able to stop Saquon Barkley in that run game stand too high. So are they gonna play cover 2? Are they gonna disguise cover 2 and have that one of those safeties have an early run read and come down in the box as soon as he reads it? Or are they gonna play some type of cover 4 where the 2 safeties have run reads, and if they get them, they can come down. But if they get pass reads, they can get back and play their quarters. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. When I'm watching the game, I watch the defensive front. So, they always show you from the quarterback's view, from the offensive view. So right. I watch the defensive front to see what's going on with the front, and then to see what those safeties are doing. I don't even watch the quarterback until they move the camera. You can no longer see the whole defense. But, we kind of we played the game, so we watched the game a little bit differently. My boys, my sons, they just watch the quarterback. They watch it for highlights. They ain't really watching nothing else. Right. So I try to teach them to watch it a different way so you can get a better feel for how the game's going. So, but it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, man. I want to see what they're going to do because, Spags is good, but like you said, man, all it takes is one time to get punched in the mouth. Or, like, I look at it like this. Every time somebody sends a blitz, you gambling.
That's right.
You are gambling because that's one less person you got into coverage. On the flip side of that is when you bring a linebacker up, or if you bring a safety or a DB to the line of scrimmage and then they drop back at the snap, does that bring your running back to do blitz pickup? Because if you're doing blitz pickup and nobody comes, that's a check down that's not into the pass pattern. That's so right. Defense wins. So it's that's a chess battle back and forth, man. So I did a Twitter. I created this thing. It was 2 old dudes playing chess, and I just put the names Spagnola and Vic Fangio, looking at each other, and that's what it's going to be, man. It's going to be a defensive chess match. But I'm looking at it this way: every test that we have had this year, Philadelphia has had, we done passed. That's right. It's been our defense that's been whooping ass.
That's right. That's right.
Our defense. When Baltimore came to town, Baltimore was supposed to get with us. Pittsburgh was supposed to get with us.
Yep.
Matthew Stafford was supposed to light us up.
Yeah, I put it on us too. Y'all put it on my Bengals too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Joey Burrow. That's when and Joey Burrow had a pretty good game because that tight end ate our lunch that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they couldn't punch it in.
You couldn't punch it in. That's right.
Couldn't punch it in, man. So Vic Fangio's had all the answers, man. Like we said before, man. He's brought us from worst to first. And people outside of Philadelphia have forgotten how bad our defense was last year. We couldn't tackle a damn soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hot garbage, man. And I think about that with all of the old school coaches that we used to have and how that looked. And I'm like, I don't understand how they getting away with that at all. But don't nobody coach like that no more. No, don't nobody bang in practice. I always say my old joke, they don't have 2-a-days, they have new-a-days. They don't do nothing, man. They don't bang in practice like that, and that stuff matters.
That's right.
that stuff matters, man. And
That's right.
you know,
The league is on the whole health and wellness kick, which is great. I'm glad they're considering their products physical and yes, I said product. Their products of physical well-being. Um, and that's why a lot of that, you don't hear about the 2 days, you don't hear about the 3 days. You don't hear about that stuff. But in the end, what's going to matter is the physicality of the game. Who's winning up front?
yeah,
Are they making tackles? Are they missing tackles? Are they breaking tackles? The more physical team wins. So even though they don't bang as much, I'm sure. I hope that the coaches are doing a great job of making sure that the fundamentals it's still hitting and tackling. No matter
right.
what all the rules are, it's still hitting and tackling, and you still got to get it in. So, unfortunately, now with the way it's set up, you don't really get as much as you want to get until like week 3 or 4 of the season, because they make you. We only got 3 preseason games now. They make you cut back on so much. Your key players ain't playing as much until potentially the second or maybe the third game. So, it's a lot of factors into it that's making the game not like it was when we played. And they are doing it for the health issues. I get it. Health and wellness is key, but it still put that helmet on
Yeah,
and who's going to win the physical game, the physical battle. So we still got that we can hold our hat on to.
for the time being, because they I get to take part in the I join the Zoom call every couple months for the competition committee.
Yep.
And Troy Vincent, man, he says it. It's like this is where we're going, and I appreciate why he said that, because the first time I was in that meeting, he made it very clear, and I didn't think about it this way, but you remember the stuff that we used to do back in the day. You remember like the bounties, like the bounties and all that type of stuff. They can say what they want to say, but there was in some locker rooms that shit was for real.
Absolutely. 100%.
It wasn't necessarily a bounty like you go hurt him, but it was like something like everybody come in the locker room, or everybody come to special teams meeting with $100.
Right.
And every time somebody make a tackle, you put $5 on their table,
right,
on their desk.
Right.
If they cause a fumble, you put $20 on their desk. If they knock somebody out of the game, you put $50 on it. So there was different things how we would kind of, give each other incentives. So it was real. And the one thing that Troy said was, he said that and he used himself as an example. He said, I knocked some people like I was trying to hurt them. And what he said was, he said, I checked on some of them guys I laid the wood to. And he said it wasn't good.
Yeah.
He said it wasn't good. So he said you got to change your thinking. So I understand that, but sometimes it looks like they overcorrecting.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. This is, like we've been saying, man, this is not our era of football anymore.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. So
just like when we played, the cats that played decades before us, it was way more violent then. So it evolves, and it gets to the point where everybody's well-being. I mean, look at it like this, dude. I go every 5 years to the health and wellness and get head to toe checked and make sure and thank God everything is fine. You know what I mean? But for some of the guys, everything is not fine, just like Troy Vincent said. So it's part of the culture and what it is these days, and it's for the better.
Facts. I got my health packet over there. They came to Philly, and it was a whole bunch of people that came through, man. And they give you the whole complete scan, heart scan, not the MRI, but whatever it's called. I call it the portal to Mordor, where they scan your heart and all that type of stuff, man. So they give you the once over, man, and they give you that 30. They mail that 30-page packet to you. So when you go to the doctor, take that packet with you. So they are thorough about that, and they are trying to get rid of the injuries that out of the game. And also, man, they trying to because this is another thing I want to talk about. Like, the big thing now is the refs. Yeah. Because everybody complaining about the refs. But hold on. Carlos, Appreciate the super chat. Says Coach M, salute. Mr. Carpenter, salute. It's Super Bowl week. During Super Bowl week, did you enjoy it, or were you, let's hurry up and get this game going? That's his question for you.
So we enjoyed it, but our enjoyment kind of got cut short because that's the year that Atlanta had an ice storm. So a lot of the festivities got shut down because you couldn't travel on the roads. The highways were not able to be traveled on. So if you were already in the downtown area, they still did some things, but the number and the amount of people that were out and about, it didn't happen because it was a sheet of ice in Atlanta, Georgia, for the majority of that week. But we got out a little bit. The things that we could do, we enjoyed. We had a good time as much as we could, but it's Super Bowl week. So that week means for that week, you ain't partying, you ain't going out, you ain't kicking it. You're enjoying the festivities during the day when you are done practicing for the short amount of time that you could. But then you back in that hotel room for meeting, and then curfew lights out, and when nobody sneaking out.
Right.
I remember back in the day, the Bengals went to a Super Bowl, and I can't remember the player's name, but he snuck out
and didn't come back.
And didn't come back.
It was a running back.
Yeah.
It was a running back. Never came back. Never.
So they weren't going to allow any of that. You got your room checked and you got double checked, and there was a security guard on the floor, and no matter how much you was trying to pay him, the organizations paid him more to not let you sneak by. So it was not happening.
It's too much on the line, man.
Yep.
Too much on the line. Didn't the same thing happen when the Raiders played?
Yeah. Another player happened with the Raiders, yeah.
And the dude got, I don't know if it was, he had a mental breakdown or whatever.
Yep.
Because I heard what's his name? Tim Brown told that story where said the coach changed the whole game plan the night before the game.
Yep.
And I was like, ugh.
So it's a special week, man, and it can be stressful if you allow it to be stressful.
Yeah.
But it'll be a lifelong memory. It's a lifelong memory for me. I remember every aspect of that week, from before we got on the plane all the way to when we had that Super Bowl trophy in the locker room and everything in between. And the party afterwards when I met my mom and my wife and sisters and everybody at in the hotel celebration area. So, it's just a great time. You're down there for business, but you gotta smell your roses a little bit and take time to recognize where you are. Because what you don't want to do is go down there and have so much tunnel vision that you don't see anything, and all you remember is practice in the game, but nothing else that came along with it. You don't want that. So
yeah, you want to take something away from it.
That's right.
But it's a balance, man. Trying to enjoy yourself, but stay locked in and be able to handle business, man, because it can get away from you real quick, bro. So,
no doubt.
But back to those referees. The optics are saying that it leans towards giving the Chiefs the calls. Now, do I think that the refs got it so the Chiefs get all of the calls? No, I do not. But I do understand the optics of some of these inconsistent calls, and to me, that's where it is, because these refs are inconsistent. If you're gonna call it here, call it over there. If you call it tight in the beginning, call it tight at the end. That's my biggest gripe with how we lost in 22. They called that BS call on James Bradbury, and I was like, you've been letting them play all game, and that's what you call?
Right.
On the ball that the receiver was not going to catch?
Right.
Come on now. It'd be different if you was calling it that tight like that in the beginning of the game, but you wasn't. So, the inconsistencies give the optics that you given, Kansas City a couple more calls. And I tell you what, man, people are bringing out numbers and receipts and all kind of stuff, man.
Bro, the conspiracies that they say it's rigged, the game is rigged for the Chiefs by the referees. I'm like you. I do not believe that it's rigged, but I do believe that it's human error and inconsistency And it may even be a situation where they don't want to be the major part of the decision make, the reason why a certain team wins or loses.
Yeah.
So they defer to not making the call in the major moments so that the referees can be out. But when that happens, they can miss a real call. And then when you miss that real call, that just fuels. So you're trying not to be a factor and you end up being a factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but again, I've got a lot of people who I work with who say, well, we think the game is rigged because of such and this, that, and the other. And I tell them, I said, well, what you just did is you just offended me. Because you just said that the game that I love, somebody's in the back office is putting the fix in. I said, we don't do that. I said, now, if you did say we got some incompetent refs, okay, I can agree with you on that.
Right.
But the whole conspiracy theory that the NFL wants, remember they were saying based on the logo, you could tell who's going to win the Super Bowl.
The logo, yeah.
Come on, folks.
Get out of here with that.
Y'all doing too much. That's fandom. That's being a fanatic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Being a fan can sometimes, especially now, people have so much money on the line, they take it a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And you start going over the edge. That ain't it. Okay, those colors are probably coincidental. The guys go out there, they put their blood, sweat, and tears, put their lives on the line to go out there and play a game that you guys get to watch. So understand, we're not in it for it to be rigged. If we thought it was, we probably wouldn't do it like we do it. So, just understand when y'all say stuff like that, you're kind of offending the players because we out there doing our thing. Yes, there's some inconsistency in the calls, but please don't say our game is rigged because
and they're going to watch. They're going to end up doing, well, we don't talk about it. There is going to be more replay assists next year. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
No doubt. And it should be so they can get the calls right.
Absolutely.
And then once we get the calls right, we can get past all this talk about refs being one-sided for one team or the league being rigged. We can get all that mess up out of here. So they need to, because otherwise, it's going to tank the game, and you don't want that. It's football is America's favorite sport.
Right.
That's why we can fill a stadium with 100,000 fans. You know what I mean? So we got to keep the nonsense out of it and make sure that the players and the fans and the refs have a great experience. And we got to get the calls right. So whatever it takes, I don't care if it delays the game by 20 to 30 minutes and it messes up TV programming. We got to get the game. We got to get the calls right.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's the issue. I just think there's too much technology not to do it.
Right.
There's no reason to have, like, but even with the technology, you still have that issue. Like, I look at the catch, the James Worthy catch, Buffalo and Kansas City when the ball hit the ground.
Yeah.
Was that a bad call? In my opinion, yes. But then here's where the player comes to me and says, if that's safety number 34, he should have took that ball away. That should have been the pick. How you let him take that ball away?
Right.
If you do what you're supposed to do, that's not an issue.
Right.
But I understand when it gets there, and then you got the replay, you clearly see the balls on the ground. And I was like, why can't you get that right? What happened in the process where it's clear like that, and you still don't get it right? That's the problem where it can be inconsistent. Of course, the roughing the passer stuff. That's what they really got to get right, because I look at it from the standpoint of every time, specifically on defense, right? Every time the defense has an opportunity to get their hands on the ball, that is an opportunity to take the ball out of that quarterback's hand. Right? So when you give up that opportunity, when you drop a pick, when you don't recover a fumble or something like that, and then the next play, the next series, they score, that's an opportunity to get that offense off the field and give your offense another opportunity to score. So in that regard, the opportunities can change hands very quickly with a call here or a call there. So I understand the optics of it.
Right.
And the impetus is on the NFL to get that right more often than they don't.
Right.
And now the problem is everybody is seeing it.
Right.
So you can't hide behind you know, I was at the stadium, I saw it. You can't hide behind that no more. Now it's
Right.
like everybody got slow motion in 4K,
Right.
and all that type of stuff, man. So the NFL, it's going to be interesting to see how they implement replay assist next year, because I think what they're going to do is, I think they're going to try to look at stuff like blatant stuff that was missed, like a face mask or a helmet to helmet, like stuff like that, and rightfully so. But I think they're going to have to start looking at these the roughing the passer stuff and some of the flopping that the quarterbacks is doing when they're trying to, you know, trying to get a flag.
No doubt. No doubt. Facts. No doubt.
So we'll see what they're gonna do, man. But hey, we got the week right here, and they got to do what they got to do. Pat says, would full-time refs help? In my opinion, no. The reason why we don't have full-time refs right now is because the NFL don't want to pay insurance. They don't want to have like benefits and stuff like that to all of those refs. I don't know why they wouldn't. They make more than enough money to do that, but they don't want to pay benefits to the refs. But I don't think full-time refs would help, because their acumen in calling flags or whatever, that's not up for debate. I think the same amount of plays that they get wrong would probably still get wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Just because they're full-time doesn't mean it's going to make it better.
Right.
I mean, it literally making them full-time is just going to allow them to not have to, I don't know. I've heard that before. I don't think it'll help. I don't really get into a debate about it back and forth. You know, it's still human error. You know, it's still were your eyes in the right place when the play happened? Did you see? And that's why you need the assist. The assist is the backup plan or the insurance that we can get the call correct. They've just got to be able to apply it to every play. I don't really see why we right now don't apply it to every play. Or even if there's an inadvertent whistle and the play's dead, use it, because like it's going to make for the true result to be able to come out. And if you're not using it, we've got the technology. If you're not using it, then we're always going to have human error, because the eye can't see everything.
No, I can't. And let's be real. Do y'all really want holding calls on every damn play?
Right. Because
it's holding on every play.
Every play. Every single play on the offensive and defensive line.
Yep. Somebody hold it. So it'd be like that situation with Louvu from Washington jumping over the top 3 times in a row and all that type of stuff. It would just get ridiculous. But what they tend to do is, if they're trying to enforce a new rule, or just put people on notice, put the league on notice and say, hey, we're going to start calling this. If y'all remember at the beginning of this year, they called that rule about the offensive line, usually the tackles lining up too far back. And what was it? Was it Kansas City that they called it on them like 3-4 times in a series? It was like,
I can't remember who it was, but
they overdo it. They overdo it to get the message across, and then they kind of back up off of it. So,
and they tell you in training camp,
yes, they
we are focusing on this year. And sure enough, they call it over and over and over those first couple of weeks.
Yep. So we'll see what they're gonna do. With you being on the outside looking in, give me your opinions on the Philadelphia's brotherly shove, the tush push.
Well, when they played my Bengals, I didn't want to see it because you can't stop it.
Well, it's funny you say that. If y'all saw my stream last week when I was with Tone, I said, there's only been one way to stop the brotherly shove. And I said, I ain't going to say it. The Bengals have been the only team to stop it. The Bengals were the only team to legitimately stop it. Go back and watch that game.
True.
The Bengals, they stopped it. It wasn't lucky. It wasn't. They figured out how to stop it.
Yeah.
And people can't even figure out how they did it.
Yeah. It's tough, because you think, okay, everybody's been running some type of quarterback sneak. What are they doing different that's allowing them to score at the pace at which they're scoring? So I think it's genius. And if only one NFL team has been able to figure it out, and nobody else has scrubbed that film to try to figure it out, I do it every time I'm down here. And you know it's coming. Stop me.
Stop me.
Stop me.
When you know it's coming, you can't stop me.
Right. Yeah.
And Buffalo tried to do it, and they couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. A lot of teams try to copy it, and they can't. Whatever it is that they're doing, whatever the secret sauce is, keep doing it till they stop it. When they start stopping it consistently, then you might have to go to something else. But until then, run it till the cows come home.
Bro, the secret sauce is Jalen Hurts squat 605, bro.
That's right.
As a quarterback.
Right. That's right. Not everybody can do that, for sure.
Not everybody can do it, man. So, it is what it is, man. My boy Pat say, I'm telling secrets. Listen, it ain't no secret, man. When Jalen Hurts goes straight ahead, it's more difficult. When he slides to the left, because that gap is in the defense. When he slides to the left, he usually goes for about 3 yards.
Yeah.
It's that simple. That's what they ain't figured out how to do. And I don't understand. To me, when they jump over the pile, you're just trying to hit them in the helmet to make something happen. Because if you're on defense and you jumping in the air, that means you have no legs.
That's right.
So you don't get driven backwards.
That's right.
So, but it's funny. They still want to stop it now. I see all these other teams chiming in about trying to stop it, and you can't stop it, man.
Yeah.
You can't stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all good, Eagle Stewart, man. It's all good, bro. Appreciate you. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a good game. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of when you get right down to it, in my opinion, we got the better team. We got the better defense. We are a little bit better up front. And just on what I've seen watching film, they got a problem with Caliendo, their left guard, taking on Jalen Carter, because Jalen Carter's going to eat his lunch. And Joe Tooney, who was probably going to be a Hall of Famer if he was playing guard. They got him moved out to tackle. And he's been struggling out there. So when we watching film, we looking at chinks in the armor. We looking at trying to figure out where somebody is struggling. And I'm quite positive that Kansas City Spagnuolo is looking the same thing about us. I'm sure he's looking at Cam Jurgens with his back injury, the way Landon Dickerson was playing, because they let in some easy sacks last week. You know what I mean? So we got some chinks in the armor too that we got to get right, man. But at the end of the day, I still think we are a better unit up front in the trenches. And nobody this year has been able to stop Jalen Carter.
Nobody. Yep. I agree with you. I haven't seen as many Philly games, but from what I saw, better in the trenches, completely electric outside at the receiver position. And the running back, in my opinion, should be MVP this year. Of everybody who's in the MVP race, he's the only one still playing.
Facts.
He's the MVP. Period.
Facts.
And they better load that box to try to stop him, or he's gonna have a field day. And then once they load that box to try to stop him, I got to go outside and hit the what's his first name again?
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown.
Yeah. So it's that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for in the first quarter. How many men are in the box? Are they able to stop the run? And if they do stop the run, or is the offensive line able to protect long enough for Jalen to get the ball downfield and get it to his receivers? That's going to tell me how the game is going to go.
Right. And if you look at the last game we played against Washington, Jalen Hurts was getting rid of the ball quick.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we need. And you know what? I'll take AJ Brown one-on-one if you want to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to come up and play man-to-man on AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and don't forget, we got one of the best tight ends in the league with Dallas Goedert, so he can burn you too. You got to pick your poison.
And then in the end, just because you don't run like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts can run. The boy scores. so it's
absolutely,
it's pick your poison. So I'm looking forward to everybody in my household is looking forward to a Eagles win. Put it like that.
Yeah. All right. As a defensive back, Give me your opinions on Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
So I ain't gonna be super critical because I can be critical to a fault at times. I think
Go for it.
I think both are very solid. Um, I think both do a good job in the run game as well. Coverage wise, not necessarily the best, but they don't have to be the best. They have to be good enough to give that defensive line enough time to go up there, get up there and eat. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think they are great for the defense that the Philadelphia Eagles have. I think they complement the defensive line, and as long as you have that, you're good to go. I say that because when I played at Miami of Ohio, we had a great defensive line and good linebackers, and I was a good complement to that because I knew the ball had to come out quick, which allowed me to do what I did in the back end. I wasn't the greatest cover guy, but I played to my defense, to my defensive front. And that's kind of how I liken those guys. When you got dogs up front, you just got to do your job and make that quarterback hold that ball for one more tick and then let them boys up front eat.
Yeah, I think Quinyon, Quinyon, in my opinion, has been better than expected.
Yeah.
Cooper, because he was out, because he was injured early, but came back. It was a couple teams that took advantage of him. And then I think one or two teams had some good games. I know that second game against Washington, Terry McLaurin, he took it to Quinyon Mitchell. But for the most part, Quinyon has been solid. If Quinyon, I think Jared Verse won Rookie of the Year, right? Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I think so.
Yeah. If Quinyon would have had more interceptions, he would have won.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm being a defensive back, I know how hard it is to play that position.
Yeah.
So that's why I prefaced it by saying I ain't gonna be too critical. Because in my opinion, the hardest position to play on the football field is defensive back. You going backwards while somebody run forward, and you got to transition to be stride for stride with him. So, a lot of my son, my 14-year-old Aiden Carpenter, he'll be quick to say, "Oh, that defensive back is terrible." Hold on, bro. Do you realize how hard it is to play DB? Slow your roll.
Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes.
Pump your brakes. You're a wide receiver. You know exactly where you're going. You know what route you're running. And we have no idea. We got to still cover him. So yeah, I pump the brakes on him every now and again.
Yeah, I got in the conversation the other day. We were talking about linebackers. And I was like, there's not too many linebackers that can cover. When you say a linebacker that can cover, I said that's a whole different skill set. They can run. There's a lot of linebackers. Fred Warner can run.
Right.
But in my opinion, Fred Warner can't cover.
Right.
You know what? Can he open his hips, change directions, break on the ball, plant that foot and come back, drive on the ball and take it? Can he do that? That is covering as opposed to being able to run with a skill, with a wide receiver or a slot.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I'd like to make that distinction because I haven't seen any linebackers that can run like that. I always like to say my boy Willie T that I played with the Eagles, he could cover because he's in the 2020 club. He had for a career, he had over 20 sacks and 20 picks for a career. So he can cover. But it's not too, and I would even give a little bit of that to Fred Warner, but nowadays it's not too many that can do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Not too many that can do that, man. So let me see. Philly says the Eagles need to do what they've done to get to the Super Bowl. Pass the ball like 20, 25, 27. Don't give up. I know. What did you say? I need to know those and run the ball on the ground and play good defense. Well, that's kind of Captain Obvious, but yeah, I think it's going to be a game with Oren Burks is going to have to play ball. And all of this stuff comes full circle, man, because I remember who was that last year that popped their Achilles? Was that Greenlaw? Popped his Achilles walking on the field? Defensive series. I think it was Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, when he was on the sideline and he walked, he came off the sideline and popped the Achilles. Yep.
Oren Burks was his backup.
Yep.
So, you know, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of now we got a backup linebacker because Nakobe Dean was balling.
Yep.
Nakobe Dean is one of my dudes. I went to his football camp, so somebody that I've gotten to know pretty well. But Nakobe was balling, and when he went down, Oren Burks had pretty much stepped in and got the job done. And he's played in a big game before.
Yeah.
We gotta, you know, we gotta put that out there. He has played in big games in the Super Bowl before. So him, just like us, knows what it's like to lose it.
Yeah.
So he's got a different chip on the shoulder. So plus he's got another week in practice playing with the ones, and fans take that for granted.
Right.
Being able to be in practice for a week, getting snaps and getting reps with the ones. That is very important.
Very. Super, super important because the familiarity with what you're going to see, with all the reps you get in practice. I mean, people got to understand, we're looking at every play that they've run, or usually for the last 5 games, and then you're repping over and over again. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? It's a job. People think it's just fun and games because but it's a job. You study. You know, you're back in school again, and it takes a lot, and it takes dedication, and not everybody can do it. And then there's even a smaller group who can do it very well at a high level. So yeah, it's detail oriented. I tell my boys all the time, you embarking on this game of football, but the study is going to become more and more the higher up you go.
Yeah,
you're going to become a student of the game. So, you know, yeah, it's detail oriented, and that's why they say not everybody can do it.
Yeah, film don't lie. The guy in the sky don't lie, bro.
That's right.
All right, man. I appreciate you jumping in with me, homie.
I love it, man. Anytime.
Good to talk to you, man.
It's available to you.
So appreciate everybody in the chat. We're gonna get up out of here. We've been rocking and rolling for about an hour, 10 minutes. So gonna have a lot of stuff tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be watching more film tomorrow. So check it out. Last couple days I've been watching a lot of stuff on Kansas City. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna turn on the tape and I'm gonna look at the Eagles. I'm gonna look at our defense. Specifically, I'm gonna start looking at our defensive line. We already know what Saquon gonna do. I do want to look a little bit of Jalen Hurts and look at that game against Washington and just, you know, put the clock on and let's see how fast he was getting the ball out and what routes they were running. That's the type of stuff that we need to know because this is a chess match. This is going to be a defensive chess match. We got 2 of the best in the game with Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio getting ready to go. Spagnuolo has been with Kansas City for years. Everybody has run some version of a Vic Fangio system in the NFL. But now we ain't got the man sitting next to the man. We got the man. So, you know, it's a chess match, man. So, Carp, homie, I love you and appreciate you, brother.
Likewise.
We got to get me, you, and D-Graph, man. Got to get in touch with D. I actually sent the link out. So I don't know if he got his number changed, but I was like, yo, I'm going to be on with Carp. Here's the link if you want to come in. Open invitation, man. But we gotta get one with the 3 fellows from Princeton, man. So we're gonna make that happen.
Yeah, we'll make it happen for sure. Love you too, bro.
All right, Frat. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate you. And tell Aiden when he ready. tell him he can come on with Uncle Marcus, man. We can wrap it out for a little bit.
No doubt. Remember that name, Aiden Carpenter. He's coming to your TV set soon.
So, all right, brother. I'm gonna hit you up after we done.
Okay, cool.
All right, appreciate you, man.
Yep. Peace.
So yeah, that's my homie, Ron Carpenter. Yeah, man, me and Carp been friends since I was a freshman in high school. When we moved back to Cincinnati, the thing with me and Carp, and also our other friend that we referenced, Alan DeGraff and Reed, we were 3 kind of unassuming late bloomers in high school. 3 of the most out of everybody from our high school. Now, mind you, don't forget, our high school was ranked in the top 25 in the country. But we were probably low on that totem pole. Ron had gotten hurt going into his senior year. I was a running back, but I was a late bloomer, so I was just okay. And Alan DeGraffenreid was a track star. He was our kicker in high school. He didn't even play wide receiver. And then he ended up walking on at Ohio State. And, you know, DeGraff was like 6'2", could run a 4.3 because he had track speed. He ended up walking on Ohio State, filling out, and then, you know, doing things up there. And he ended up playing in the league. Carp goes to Miami of Ohio, lights it up, all MAC, ends up going to the league. I end up going to Eastern Kentucky, break all of the 1AA rushing records in history. I get picked up by Philadelphia. So 3 of the most unassuming athletes from our class at our high school, we were not the ones that were supposed to make it to the show. So something that we can hang our hats on and be proud of. But Harper's a good friend of mine, one of my brothers, one of my frat brothers, A5A. So we love it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We had a good time. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Like I told you, every day I'm going to be having content to the Super Bowl hits. And then, of course, I'll be live streaming it. So I'll be throwing shoes and glasses and standing up and pacing and all of that kind of good stuff. Hopefully, I won't need to do all of that. Hopefully, we can put a lead just like we did against Washington and handle business, man. But I know it's going to be a good game. But like I said, man, Philadelphia has passed every damn test. And I don't expect anybody. I don't expect this game to be any different. So, but appreciate everybody. Philly Key Shot, I appreciate you. You got in here late, but I appreciate you. Pat Ryan, Carlos, as usual, man. Appreciate that super chat. Eagle Stewart. My mom has popped in. Who was that? Robert Dredden. B. Rufo. Pat Ryan. Everybody that was in the chat, man. I appreciate the love. We're going to keep it going. I'm still growing. I just hit 6,000 the other day, and I'm already over 6,100, man. So the love, my squad, my team is getting larger and larger, quicker and quicker. And you know me, I want to keep grinding and growing. So we're going to keep doing this thing, and we're going to make it happen. But the task at hand is to win one more game. Win one more game. All right? So I'm going to talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good night. God bless. And I will see you tomorrow on the next one. So stay tuned. All right. Talk to you later. Go Birds.